I realize that I always do this, like I'm getting all excited. In every single one of my live streams, the very beginning of it is like this. And it's half of a like, ooh, I'm so excited, and half of like, pray that it's working, because technology sometimes gets the better of me. So Instagram's down here and Facebook, you're up here today just because my phone was at like 1%. So, sorry, I have like a hair on my chin. Say hi when you tune in. I'm so excited for this dragon. She popped up for a client earlier today, so she's obviously very close right now. And it's the silver lunar dragon. So we are on day 7. Yesterday we had the beautiful water dragon help us cleanse and just purify and unclog those pipes and really open us to receive what it is that we have envisioned. And hello, Tamara. Hi, Oyasumi. Hello, everyone. So the water dragon just helped cleanse us, and now today we're receiving a fulfillment. It's bathing you. So now you've been cleansed. It's almost like you went through this like washing. Do any of you ever like shower before you take a bath? Because I'll do that sometimes when I realize that it's also a shower day, but I really need to take a bath. Like, I don't want to just be like in my stink, right? So I'll take a quick shower and like wash, and then I'll actually like get into the Epsom salt bath and like sink in there. Anybody? I just found you yesterday. I loved your reading. Is it okay if I tune even? Yeah, totally. Absolutely, Tamara. I'm so happy if you just found me yesterday. Welcome. Welcome to the labyrinth of the dragon doula, which is me, of course. Yeah, don't worry about that. People who have like not even watched hardly any of it will tune in. People down here on Instagram, say hi when you're here. You know, it's all just, you're here when you're called to be, and that's because I work as a magnet. I magnetize to me, and I create the synchronicities that's necessary for the portals to open for you guys to find me. And the only people that can even see me are the people who are ready to be activated in this specific work that I do, which is birthing dragons, helping to birth dragons. You do the birthing. I just hold the space for you. Oyasumi, oh wow, I'm about to crash. Coffee isn't helping. We'll get a pedicure and my hair washed, but we'll tune in, yes, shower before baths. Lots of new people just stumbling upon your amazing dragon doula. Yeah, that's because the more this gets out there, the more people are going to want to birth their 5D self into this space, because it's way more fun and way more fulfilling and just delicious to be living as a dragon versus as a ordinary human. And no, I just dip. Ha, that's funny. See, everyone does their thing. Well, I will do it just depending. Like, so that's kind of what the water dragon did yesterday. Okay, just like bathed us. And even if you didn't watch it yet, like you're tuned in and you'll watch the replay, like time space is really weird when you're around me as well. Collapsing and commanding time are some of my superpowers. So like a week with me is like a month or more with other people. Just because I don't have time. I don't have time in the best way. Like, it's time to get shit done is how I work. So that being said, the silver lunar dragon, she bathes you in divine feminine light, okay? Okay, so come into balance and practice peace, harmony, and cooperation. Expand your causal chakra. So for those of you who don't know a lot about your chakras or who only know very little about it, we have this, oh, it's going to be like extra hard because of Instagram. All of our insides of our chakras, right? Okay, so Instagram right here, Facebook right there. You have your chakras, the 7 chakras that are in your body, and there's actually 9 if you consider the like extra chakras of the there's one in between your belly button and your sacral chakra, And then there's one up here in between your throat and your heart. So technically, now that we've reached a certain level of consciousness, when you're completely activated in your embodiment, you actually have 9 chakras running versus like everybody has 7 chakras running, okay? And then outside of your body, you have the Earth Star, which is down below your feet, and then you have the causal chakra, soul star, stellar gateway, cosmic gateway, and then you're like at the center of the universe, essentially. So it's 13 dimensions total, more than that, obviously. But inside of your own body, you have this, you have to be able to manifest anything that you visualize. So many of my clients come to me and they are great visualizers. They sit there and they are like, I can meditate and I just like see all of the money pouring in. I see all of the clients I help. I see all of the children that I'm building homes for. I see all of the oceans being cleaned. I see all of the ballot boxes being filled, and I'm winning the mayoral race next year, these big dreams. Or I'm finally seeing my homeschool room put together and I'm still able to take my clients so easily and everything, and they can see it and visualize it so easily, and then they're like, but why can't I, why isn't it physicalizing? And it's because your causal chakra, since it's not in your body, like your internal chakras can really only be misaligned to the extent that your body, like the size of you, like they don't ever leave your physical space. So yeah, you can get some cranial sacral done and it'll like realign your crown and your third eye and your throat, but they can't just like be, your third eye can't just like be over here, okay? Your causal chakra and all the other ones that are outside of your body can. So like it's like a moon. So this big moon in the picture, your causal chakra is a moon that when you're in alignment and you're in flow, okay, remember we had the water dragon yesterday, when you're in flow, when you're in the creation cycle, which is also the destruction cycle, realizing they are one and the same, when your causal chakra is like this, then it's just like, I think something and it manifests, and I think something and I manifest. And like I was talking about yesterday, what you're doing is you're no longer taking the, for those of you who know tarot, or tarot, many people are spending their time going from the Fool all the way through the Magician, the Empress, the Emperor, the Hierophant, blah, 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 all the way through, and they get to the Tower. Like they go through the Devil, they do all this, and they get to the Tower. Hi, everybody. Sorry, it's so hard when they're not just like next to each other. The silver lunar dragons. I keep seeing yes. So then you get through the Devil and you're going through these tests and you get to the Tower, and so many people will get to the Tower and everything's crumbling, and instead of being able to hold and expand their energy and build something bigger and greater and more sustainable, they think that they fucked up or did something wrong, or that they're not worth what it is that they want. So they will go all the way back to the Fool's journey, and so they're only actually ever fulfilling the first half of the tarot cycle. And what you do once you've completely opened up and aligned your causal chakra and aligned to your higher self, and you've birthed your dragon through you, and you've committed to knowing your worth, you realize that you are worth receiving the sun, the moon, the stars, and the world, and that wheel of fortune. That's what's on the other side of the Tower. Those are the cards that so many people don't get on a very regular basis, quote unquote. They're like, the first person that was doing my readings all the time, she'd be like, I sometimes have to like check myself for reading envy because of the like level of things that I would be receiving or the way that it would read out. And I always thought, like, isn't that awesome? Like, that's great. I'm being able to move past it, until I realized that like I eventually had to get a new person to read my cards because my person was still stuck in the first half, like she wasn't going through. And then that's when you actually begin to enjoy, like these creatives, like even Elon Musk, even though he's in the technical industry, he's still a creative in the fact that he's always moving on to the next innovative thing. Apple and Southwest and all these people that like, you're like, okay, this is, I know why they're doing this. I know why they're doing this. I know why they're doing this. Those people are just creating and destroying and creating and destroying for the pure fun and pleasure that they value the process of creating, and then it fulfills its purpose, and then you're back at the tower, not because you did something wrong and you totally messed up and back to the drawing boards, but because, oh, okay, this part needs to crumble and I'm going to use these pieces to make my spiritual empire even more successful, to be able to literally have it all, to be the supreme empress or emperor of your dominion, because you're a god in a human body. You're a dragon who also simultaneously is in human form right now on a pleasure planet, on a planet that was meant to be able to do this. We're supposed to be able to, I want this and I can imagine it and I can, because we've been told that we're supposed to be able to do that. But these pieces about your chakras not being aligned and these pieces about worth is not talked about enough. If you don't actually believe that you are worthy, if you don't actually know in the depths of your bones that you are worthy of all of the things that you can envision, that's the reason why they're not coming through. And then you can, okay, you finally feel worthy, and then it can still get stuck all the way down here. And you'll get stuck in the willpower to do it, and you think that you're worthy, and you think that you're worthy, and you think that you're worthy, and you're talking about it like you're worthy, and you kind of feel it like you're worthy, but then you don't really have a willpower to move, and then you start kind of freaking out like, oh, how am I going to create this? How am I going to do this? And are other people going to like it? You start falling into shadow instead of remembering that this isn't for anybody else. You love the process of creating so much that no one could read your book and you would still freaking love that book. No one could ever donate to your charity and you would still find a way to help the cause that you had created your charity for. And you would go, that's a time where you can go back to the drawing boards or go a different route where you're like, hey, maybe a nonprofit isn't the best way to do it. Maybe I should do it this way, or maybe I can team up with an already established nonprofit. And you just continue, and it has nothing, your quote unquote failures have nothing to do with your self-worth. Nothing can mess with that. Like, you are unfuckwithable, period. And some people are going to call you a narcissist, and you're going to trigger the hell out of a ton of people, and you're going to be called an arrogant bitch, and you're going to be called cold-hearted, but it's just because you speak such pure, potent, and direct truth that people don't want to hear it. And yet so many people at this point are like, well, you know what? Everything else hasn't worked. And that's why with this silver lunar dragon, I felt really called to actually tell you guys that today is the last quarter moon. So you'll notice that the moon is cut right in half. And the theme for that is to the release and surrender and let go. So for the full moon, it more is like the illuminating. So it'll illuminate what it is that you need to let go of, or it'll illuminate the final action steps you need to take before you go into your releasing cycle. Women whose actual lunar, like your moon cycle, your menstrual cycle is linked to the moon. This is when you're starting to, like, you've probably kind of PMS, now you're going to go into your cave and you're going to be bleeding, and then by the new moon, you're no longer, like, maybe those are the days that you kind of finish, or maybe you start right on the new moon. That's why they call it a moon cycle, is because it really is that shedding and releasing. So right now is when that uterine lighting is starting to shed, just in the energy of what's been happening for the last month. So it's time for you to release and let go. So choose something to remove from your life that's no longer serving you. So this can be a physical item, this could be a habit, this could be a friend or having a hard conversation, it could be a personality trait. And what you're going to do is you're actually going to write it on a piece of paper, and you're going to burn it in a fireproof cauldron or in a bowl. So you're going to, just one thing, just pick one thing. Like, I'm going to release my attachment to Yeah, so if you're ovulating on the new moon and bleeding on the full moon, I don't. Yeah, so quit junk food. So write quit junk food on a piece of paper tomorrow and then just burn it. And when it comes to the opposite cycle, I don't remember. I'm so bad about this because that's how I am, and I don't really know that much about it. I just know about my own cycle, but there are literally like hundreds. I am not one to like claim to be an expert in something that I'm not in, but there are tons of people who would have that answer. Or honestly, when I have a metaphysical question, I go to Google and then just kind of feel it out in my own intuition. I'm a product. I'm totally a millennial, guys. Like, I'm a product of Ask Google and make Google do it. Okay, so then you can get in touch with your shadow side by tapping into the energy of the goddess Kali. So Kali is all about dissolving those wounds. So while Kuan Yin can come in and cut karmic cords and cut the suffering away and just like wash away these things from your body with karuna compassion, Kali Ma comes in with that same intention of clearing the karmic wounds, but with more veracity. So yesterday, again, that was like the gentle cleansing, the gentle, the pre-wash. And today we're going to like blast you, just bathe you with this divine feminine light and just bathe you with like completely releasing all of the BS that you are still trying to justify, instead of just like believing that you really are worth letting this go, and doing the things that trigger you, doing the things that scare you. The reason why we're given these tests is to prove that we can hold that energy. Dragons don't collapse. The only way that Smog went down was because there was one single scale in his side that was like chipped off from Bilbo. Like, that's a 1 in a million shot, and we all know it. So dragons are impenetrable. You are never ending, since like the concept of time doesn't exist, although our experiencing of it does. Time is not real. If you exist now, then you always have and you always will. So if you were a dragon once, then you are a dragon now, and now you get to experience holding the level of energy a dragon can hold while still living in a human body. And that is what I mean by having it all. Because the level of dreams that you're currently able to hold and yet aren't able to birth is simply based on a level of your worthiness within yourself. So once you completely redistribute the worth throughout your body by activating your dragon DNA, activating your crystalline DNA, activating the peace and harmony and cooperation of both the yin and the yang energies in your body, what happens is that you become a DNA strand, which is the Kundalini energy, which is a dragon. They are all the same thing. They are all synonymous. So when you really can hold that, like my whole body is buzzing right now, because it's still a truth that when I start speaking it to others, I have to be able to hold, because you guys are bouncing around right now. Everyone who's hearing this, everyone who's being impacted by this, the triggers are going off, and you're thinking, dragon, way too big. Source energy, way too big. Being a god, way too big. And yet, you know and understand, because you've read all these books and done all these other things, that that's exactly what you are. The only difference is that no one has ever told you that you're worth actually having all of those things. That you are worth having the sun, the moon, and the stars, and the world, and the wheel of fortune. That being in perfect alignment of Kuan Yin and Kali Ma is your birthright as a dragon who went through the initiations to be on planet Earth to begin with, because you have to have been a 7th dimensional being to even be here. You had to have gone through 7th dimensional dragon boot camp. And that's the only way that you could be here, to help with the ascension, to help clear the tens of thousands of lifetimes that have been lived and clean up the energy so that Sophia Gaia and all of her inhabitants can ascend into the 7th dimension and actually fulfill the Earth experiment. That's why you're here. That's the actual purpose of you being here right now. And you have to do that by letting go of some stuff, and sometimes you have to do it in a deep, dark, intense, destructive way. Sometimes you got to blow stuff up. And it's very awesome to be able to be in a container where someone can hold you while you're blowing up and help you clean the shit off the walls and be like, okay, try again. While you're figuring out your superpower. While you're trying to learn how to levitate. You know, does anybody remember Charmed when Piper's first learning how to like blow stuff up because she's afraid that she's going to blow someone's arm up? Like that's kind of what you're doing when you're first learning about your dragon powers. And you're really owning that it's okay when things fall apart and that you're just in this chaos, and you learn how to continuously be comfortable with being uncomfortable and shedding your skin and breaking your shell on a regular basis, the same cycle as the moon even sometimes. You could be a whole different person in 3 months. It only takes 90 days to build a new lifestyle. It takes 21 days to form a habit, takes 30 days to break one, and it takes 90 days to form a lifestyle. That's the reason why I don't work with people for longer than 12 weeks unless you're going to really, like, if you're trying to be president, then yes, we're going to work for longer than 12 weeks. But everyone else, like, you don't hire a doula for a super long time. You hire her to be there while you're birthing and a few days afterwards and to make sure that everything's good. And then you don't ever really see her again until you have a new baby, right? Okay. So, any questions so far? I'm going to just read a little bit about the Silver Lunar Dragon's guidance and then do the vocal toning. Okay. As these shimmering dragons touch our causal chakra and enable it to expand, unicorns are able to use the illumined chakra as a portal to enter Earth and assist our ascension. In this way, the silver lunar dragons serve us and we serve the planet. Choosing this card suggests that you call on the silver lunar dragons to bathe you in their energy and that you practice peace, harmony, equality, cooperation, love, unity, and wisdom in your daily life. A lunar dragon will be close by, helping and supporting you. As you are bringing yourself into balance, you are doing your part to bring the planet into equilibrium. Visualize your causal chakra as your own personal moon. The silver lunar dragons will touch and expand it until the frequency is high enough to allow pure white unicorns to step through it. So we are tapping into unicorn magic as well, and that's, so many people would think that dragons and unicorns are like enemies, and yet they're not. They work together beautifully, and the simple reason is because dragons birthed everything. Sophia Christ, the black womb of no thing, created 2 seraphim dragons, the original DNA strands of the universe, and from that were birthed everything else. So everything in the entire cosmos has dragon lineage in it. And it's the most powerful magic that you can tap into. And there are very few dragon masters that are currently willing to be speaking about this in public, because there's still this old belief that we have to keep this sort of power away from the masses or they'll misuse it. And I call BS. It's time for Viva la Revolution and let the masses rise. And I'm calling in my generals. I'm calling in those who are ready to lead so that we really can have a grand movement of synchronicity. We're no longer living in 1990s dial-up here. We're no longer on the light grid. We're on the synchronistic grid, and we are running on fiber optics, and it's time for everyone to get to the level that I'm at so that we can actually do the change that we're supposed to do in this world. So we can take the dreams you have right now, achieve those, and figure out what the hell that person's dreams are and get working on those things. That's what I do with my clients. We achieve those goals that they walk in as fast as possible so that we can get them ready to move forward to the actual dreams that these first level ones are blocking. So with that in mind and expanding our causal chakra and aligning it up, we are going to do a vocal toning, and by we I mean me. So what you're going to do is just receive this toning. I am toning to you the pure frequency of the silver lunar dragon. She's essentially coming to you through my vocal cords. And this is important. What I have to do for you is important. Earlier today, I shed someone of her entire bloodline's lineage and completely cleared her cosmic, womb. It was the craziest, most amazing clearing that I've done. And I knew in an instant that this wasn't just, oh, we've done this many generations. It was her entire bloodline in both directions of time space. So realize this isn't just your everyday clearing and healing. If you're willing to receive the knowing, like what she actually does with that is now up to her. If she actually believes that she's worth having all of the karma of her entire bloodline to be dissolved instantly, then it will happen. It will stick. But that takes a very high level of knowing to not let it come back, because you guys might not know this, but when they have taken carbon DNA strands and blasted photons at them so that the carbon and the photons are making the same shape, and then they'll microwave it or do something that blasts apart the DNA molecules that they the carbon base are completely transformed, but the photons just blast apart. And while the carbon is now no longer around, the photons will reform back into the DNA strand. So light actually remembers matter, which is why it's so important to figure out what actually matters to you so that you can shed the most light and focus the most energy on what actually matters and drop all of the rest of the shit, which is 90% of the stuff that you think that you care about right now actually doesn't fucking matter at all. And one of those things is dealing with all of these past lifetimes and dealing with all this suffering and all this other shit in the world that is so ready to be cleared off that having a song sung to you, if you actually believe your worth, having it be that easy can clear your entire bloodline if you want it to be doing that. Can manifest you $1 million tomorrow if that's what you believe that you're actually worth. It is that powerful and that potent if you think you're actually worth it. And so many people think it. Okay, so I keep saying think. If you know that you're worth it. So many people understand this. Oh yeah, if I can think it and believe it, then I can achieve it. And yeah, I believe it. Of course I believe it. But you're not embodying it. You're not being authentic no matter who you're with or where you're at or what you're talking about. You're not always being open. You're not always being vulnerable to being smacked down, knowing that nobody can take away what you have because your worth is the only thing that you will ever have, whether you're in the gutter or living in a palace. The only thing that you will ever have is your worth. So why not always know that you are worth the sun, the moon, the stars, the world, the wheel of fortune, and start living from that place instead of this place of being a fool who doesn't know anything. Got you there. Okay, so go ahead and close your eyes. Take a nice couple of deep breaths in, and I want you to really visualize that. Sorry, I got there really fast, so hold on a second. Come back down. I want you to really be able to visualize that moon, that causal chakra floating above 18 inches above your head. And it's okay if right now it's not aligned. If you notice that your moon is on the other side of the room, it's cool. It's fine. You go there all the time. You go to the causal plane all the time. You astral project every night. Depending on your strength, you're either in the causal plane or in the astral plane. They are different levels. It's kind of like the waiting room versus being in the actual ballroom. It's kind of how I think about it. Or standing room only, or however you would phrase that. You're not really in the party, when you're watching the concert from the outside on the little TVs versus being in there. So the causal plane is where you strengthen your energetic structures so that when you go into the astral plane, you have this very smooth ladder through the causal plane into the astral plane. You can just like detach and go and do a bunch of work in the astral plane while your physical body is recharging and resetting. But the causal moon, this causal plane is where you go when you're visualizing, when you're meditating, when you're, just staring at your vision board or where you're journaling. All those things are happening on the causal plane. The causal plane is also the intersection between the emotional and mental realms when it comes to allowing things to physicalize. So the causal plane is also where all autoimmune diseases are, chronic pain, fatigue, IBS, MS, fibromyalgia, Crohn's disease, so many. Migraines, all those things actually are occurring in the causal plane, and then they are dense enough and heavy enough that they're sinking down into your physical body, while the higher vibration things like being a millionaire and a super healthy body and a rockin', yacht and all these things are higher vibration, and they're not even able to get in because of the misalignment, and also because this thing of thinking like I'm worth having a shitty life and like this makes perfect sense and all these things happened to me when I was a kid and I have all this suffering, so of course I've got this, and I've got PTSD, so now I have fibromyalgia, and of course this is happening and blah blah blah. Of course this is happening, and being like my life sucks and all this stuff is happening to me is what's continuing to cause those things to happen. So what you can flip it to is, of course I just landed $1 million book deal. Of course Oprah just called me to be on Soulful Sundays. Of course Panic at the Disco just invited my kids into the backstage arena and blah blah blah. Like the crazy amazing things that you want in your life, those should be your of courses. And when those are your of courses, those other densities can't even reach you. You're too high up there. You're not even available for things like shame and guilt and fear. And anytime you're angry or things like that, you're able to focus the energy. So coming back to that moon being in the room, you being in this space, you're still in the room that you're in. Like you can double check, feel your legs, feel your abdomen, feel your chest and your arms. Like you're still here. And just come back to this space if you feel like you're going too high, but we're going to go up now. And first we're going to concentrate our energy on the third eye. And then from there, we're going to project our consciousness onto the causal plane. And what we're going to do during this vocal toning is just imagine that moon, that causal moon, being pushed or pulled or manipulated, rolling back so that it's in perfect alignment with all of your chakras. So by the end of this toning, from the hollow space of hollow earth where Mother Gaia is up to your earth star, through all of your chakras, causal chakra all the way up to the cosmic star, they're just completely aligned and lit up in all of their colors. Doing almost like a disco rainbow dance is what will happen by the end of this. So go ahead and just imagine that moon, and wherever it is, it's going to get bigger, it's going to get brighter, and it's going to come and rest about 18 inches directly above your crown chakra. Now with all of your chakras aligned, I just want you to imagine each one of them glowing brighter and getting bigger until all of your chakras from the very center of the universe shooting down through you, through your physical body, in the room that you're in, down into the heart of this planet, whose oversoul is no different than yours. Feel that energy, feel that power pulsing through you, getting brighter. Knowing that this is your energy current. This is the power that you are capable of running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And as you get used to this frequency, you will be capable of holding higher and higher frequencies, more and more energy, focusing more and more energy towards those things in the causal plane that you want to build, strengthening those energetic structures just with your thoughts and embodying the message that you want to speak, because your story is important. You are important. Your dragon lineage is important, and it is time to stop hiding and become the commander-in-chief of your own life. And instead of doing that with brute force like has been done for millennia, we are doing that with peace and harmony and cooperation. And every once in a while, when we really have to get down and dirty, we call in Kali Ma, and she helps us to destroy all that is unnecessary, surrender and let go, and to rebuild stronger, better, faster. We thank the lunar dragons for being here and for helping us to move our causal chakra back into alignment, knowing that as that chakra expands, that the unicorns will be stepping through, and we will be doing such amazing work for this planet just by knowing that we are worthy of being at this level, that we are worthy of being the earth warriors that we came here to be. That it is not about us, and yet it's all about us. That we are not alone, and yet we are completely alone. And the point of this planet is to be, and just to be. The happiest, most vibrant, most turned on, most tapped in, most creative, sensual, beautiful, powerful being that you can know you are. A god, a dragon. So go ahead and take a minute, rub your fingers and hands together, open your eyes. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'll hang out for just a minute and then I'll go make dinner for my family. So this dragon invocation is going to have bathed you completely in this divine feminine light, have breathed new life into your inspirations, but then remembering that this is the last quarter moon, so you want to be releasing. So what I'm really being called to tell you is maybe you had a program that you just were loving and it might be time to release it, or it might be time to rework it, or maybe the name, you're trying to force the content to fit in the name, and what you really need to do is let go of that name, or you need to sell some things before you can actually like continue. Just release the need for the perfection around some things, release the need for, it is the holiday season, so like the need for perfection around that, and just the need for everything to work out the way you want it to. Release the expectations that you've set on yourself that you know are based in shadow. And then also release the doubts. Release these like, oh, nobody's gonna buy because it's the holidays, or release the, it's really irresponsible for me to invest in a new coach because it's the holidays, because it's the end of the year, or release the, you know, I've got so many things going on, I could never write my book right now. You're welcome, Tamara. Let me know how that was for you. Like, I'm very interested. If you just found me yesterday, like welcome. And everyone else, Summer, I see you, and Dallin, hello, Madalena. So this is day 7. We have 4 more days. And then for those of you who are in Salt Lake, I'm holding a Dragon Circle on Sunday at Synchronicities. I will leave the link in the comments. Instagram, I'll just change my link in my bio to that. That's this Sunday at 1 o'clock at Synchronicities in Sandy, Utah, if you're here. And I do that every month on the, it was so great, awesome, yay. On the 4th Sunday of every month at 1 o'clock at Synchronicities is the Dragon Circle. So that's an in-person event where you receive something like this. It's pretty much this. You guys are receiving the digital version of what I've been doing, and I don't always just do one dragon at a time. Sometimes we do several. We're going to be doing, everyone's going to do a toning together during one of them, and, you know, just playing and really kind of creating this community of dragons now that this message is being brought out. And then you guys have probably seen the announcement, but I will just let you all know that I am creating, my program is going to be going up in price on January 1st. From right now, it's $12,000 to work with me for 12 weeks. And on January 1st, that's going to be going up to $60,000. So that's how incredibly powerful this is. And the reason why it's going that high is because I have a lot of things going on in my life that are also moving very quickly, and I need to have people who are willing to make the big investment to make big changes. So if you are interested to work with me right now one-on-one, that's my 12-week package. That's the highest level that I have right now. There are a couple of smaller ones, but everything is going to be going up by 5 times. There's also a group program that's in the works. There's going to be more information about that coming out. But be aware of that. Be aware that when you're in a space like this where time is collapsing, that means that you are going to be up-leveling at a rate that seems completely illogical, and yet it's exactly what needs to be done. And I have been essentially been in a beta test for the last few months without realizing it until pretty much yesterday. I was told very strongly that through the end of the year, still taking people at the same rate, but it's going to be going up by 5 times because that's the results that people are seeing. Their lives are changing in an hour. Their lives are changing in 15 minutes. Like I said, we're clearing entire bloodlines in a 5-minute period, and it all revolves around this knowing of your own wisdom and your own worth, and what you have to say is that important that you need to have the resources to be shouting it from the rooftops and everyone be talking about what you're doing, because it's that important for the entire world. So with that in mind, you're in Salt Lake City? Yes. Okay, well, come hang out with me at Synchronicities. I'll leave the link. Yeah, so welcome everyone who's new, and those of you who aren't, thanks for coming, and I'll see you all tomorrow. As usual, I will post the time tomorrow morning once I figure out my schedule with my 3 kids and my clients and my life. So I will talk to you all then. Okay, love you. Mwah.